Now we have a little bit of a tradition that we've started a number of years ago here at GCA. The 25-year and the 40-year honor classes have the privilege of nominating a Georgia Cumberland Academy staff member, past staff member, current staff member, or a posthumous award, those who've already passed away, for what is called a Life Legacy Award. Recipients of the award are to be individuals who've had a broad-ranging and significant impact on the lives of GCA students throughout the years. The staff member has to have worked at GCA for a minimum of 2 years. They have to have exhibited Christ-like characteristics, shown professionalism, responsibility in their relationship with students. They're recognized as demonstrating outstanding expertise in their work at GCA, and they are recognized by a majority of the students from that era. So the class of 1979 has exercised their option to do that, and they have decided that they would like to honor with a Life Legacy Award Mr. Ray Cornforth. Ray taught religion and Bible classes at GCA from 1975 to 1980, and the presenter of that award is Mr. Steve Littell from the class of 1979. Come on up, Steve. And Dr. Matthew Cornforth is the son of Ray Cornforth. Ray died a number of years ago, and Dr. Cornforth is here. If you could come forward to receive that award, there you are, on behalf of your father. I should mention that Dr. Cornforth here also has the distinction of being born not here at GCA. It wasn't that primitive, but born while his father was here.
A Christian leader is someone who guides and stands for the right, though the wrong may be popular. It is someone who is sincerely seeking the holiness of heart and purity of life. Their religion is not merely an influence among others, but an influence dominating all others. That's from Fountain Reveries, 1979. Ray Cornforth was the kind of teacher in the graduating class of 1979 wants to recognize that today with the Life Legacy Award. Mr. Cornforth, along with his wife Evelyn, his shaggy dog Libby, and 3-month-old son Jeremy, arrived at GCA in the summer of 1975, which was also the freshman year for our class of 1979. He was given the daunting task of being our class sponsor. We could see he had ideals, visions, and hopes to inspire for us to seek a personal relationship with Jesus along with our academic excellence. But we were pretty hard on him for the first few years. We were a group of youngsters more interested in teasing him, mercilessly at times, than appreciating the value of what he had to share with us. He was very open about his trust and love for the Lord, and that is something that many of us recall about him. And he never quit believing in us. Before the service, I talked to Matthew, and he asked me, he said, was yours the class that almost made him want to quit? I said, yes, that most definitely was us. He said that Christmas of the first year he was here, he went to the principal and said, I can't take this class, I can't handle it. Will you give me another class to sponsor? And the principal said, no, you're stuck with them if you want to teach here next year. You got to stick it out. And he did. When Mr. Cornforth talked, prayed, sang, or played the piano, which he did a lot, you saw his love for the Lord was real. You felt like he cared about you personally in your relationship with God. Even when the kids made fun of him, he still cared about them. In fact, one of the students who had played several tricks on him was the very student he saw on a Friday night foot washing without anyone to wash his feet. Mr. Cornforth asked if he could wash that student's feet. His actions demonstrated that he honestly cared. More than once, when a student got into trouble due to making poor decisions, Mr. Cornforth spoke out strongly in support of not suspending, rather arguing they should be forgiven. He even took one student into his home to finish the school year so that student would not have to leave GCA. What a beautiful example of the love and forgiveness of Jesus. No one knows us or knows our heart like Jesus does. Mr. Cornforth was a living example of the beauty and grace of true Christianity that shone like a beacon of light throughout his time at GCA. Mr. Cornforth touched more lives than he ever knew at GCA. One day, Soon we will see him again, and we'll be able to thank him for caring, thank him for praying for us, thank him for not giving up on us. He will finally know that his efforts were not in vain. He was able to influence our lives for the good when he was at GCA. Many of his students, not only from the class of 1979, will be a star in his crown. Mr. and Mrs. Cornforth had a second son, Matthew. While they were at GCA, Mr. Cornforth taught Bible 1, 2, and 3 until the end of the 1979-1980 school year. The Cornforth continued to serve the Lord at Little Creek Academy, Oklahoma Academy, and finally Country Haven Academy in Pasco, Washington. He was the principal of Country Haven when he was killed on December 7, 1996, in a bus accident while driving the student body back to campus from a choir trip. Today, Mrs. Cornforth lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, where she has served in the union office as an accountant for the past 15 years. Their firstborn son, Jeremy, works for the State Department and currently lives in China. Matthew is a family physician working in Somerville, Georgia. Matthew also teaches in the Family Medical Residency Clinic in Rome, Georgia.
I was almost born on this campus. My dad was not always the best at listening to my mom on things, but thankfully we made it to the hospital in Dalton. On behalf of my family, particularly my mom, I want to thank you all for this award. It would mean an awful lot to my father. I think this class, the irony of this would not be lost on my dad. I think this class, more than any class or group of students that he taught, probably made him the teacher that he was. It was a very frustrating experience for him, but at the same time, it taught him flexibility, which I think is probably the most important gift that a teacher can have. Because not all students are the same, not all classes are the same, and sometimes you just got to roll with it. Christian education was incredibly important to my father. And just by you guys being here today, it's an evidence that you support Christian education both with your time and with your money. And on behalf of my dad, I just want to thank you for that, and I want to encourage you to continue to do that. Thank you.